What's up, guys? Welcome to the Crypto Savvy channel. I'm Craig, and we're going to be going over the charts. I'm going to start out in the macro with Bitcoin, move all the way down into the 4-hour time frame, looking at what we could expect. Today is the big day, looking for the Fed rate hike decision. I know a lot of people are expecting the pause, which could possibly happen. If we do get the pause, we may get another little push up before the continuation to the downside, but either way, the macro environment has not changed. Obviously, traders are going to take advantage of today. If you are trading today, especially in crypto, be very, very careful around the Fed rate hike decision, which is around 2 p.m. Eastern time today. So we'll probably see some volatility, maybe see some wicks, but let's go over the charts and see what everything else is pointing at. We'll also take a look at the oil chart and the BNB chart at the end of the video, show you my thoughts on Binance. Still think Binance is in severe trouble, in my opinion, at least the BNB coin. But I will show you those charts. Make sure you stick around, watch the whole video. And before we begin, make sure you smash those thumbs up. Leave your comments down below. What do you think it is? I want to hear your guys' Fed rate hike decision. Type yes if you think it's going to pause. Type no if you think they're going to raise it again. And we'll see what happens, but it's going to be an interesting day nevertheless. Let's take a look at the charts. So in the macro, as you guys know, on the monthly chart, I believe we come back down to test this trend line, at least on the RSI. This would be where I'm looking for the bottom towards the end of this year. I've been saying it since 2021. The bottom, I believe, will be in sometime in September, October, possibly November. Either way, I think we see a lower low in Bitcoin before this is all over, in my opinion. Now, a lot of people watch YouTube channels and look for how many views it's getting. Be careful with that, guys, because the ones that get a lot of views are mostly just spewing what people want to hear, right? If I was all about making the channel blow up and whatever I would call super bullish calls and just be bullish every day on Bitcoin, but I don't. I give my honest opinion and stick around, and that's what you'll get here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's get into it. So on the monthly, right now, we are getting support on the 8 EMA. If the 8 EMA breaks, remember, this is the monthly chart. This takes time. If it does break, our next support's around 23.8, somewhere in that range, 23.5. As you guys know, I've been calling for Bitcoin to go down to 23.5 since we topped out on the last, since we were right up here in the 30,000 range. I said I'd be looking for the 23.5 range, and I'll show you why in the smaller time frames, right? Let's take a look at the weekly. So on the weekly, I think we're just in a huge falling wedge here. I think we have one more test to the bottom, possibly as low as 3,500, but you guys know I've been looking at 3,500 to 9,600 range, nevertheless making a lower low, right? So let's take a look at, if we break up above this trend line up here, somewhere it's around 23.4 or so, we may get one big rally up to that 32,000. But as I've been saying, I don't think that's going to happen. I'll show you why in the charts. Looking at the Dow Jones, it's struggling today. What I want to point out here is if we look at this high to this high, we made higher highs, lower highs in the daily RSI, right? That is bearish divergence in an uptrend, right? Does look like we are going to continue down. We got perfectly rejected at this RSI trend line. Now, what to watch for today is where this closes, even over the next couple days. If we close a candle above this, that's at the close, if this RSI is above this, then we may be getting that push up. But right now, it does look like we are going to continue it to the downside. As you guys know, my target's around 30,200 range, although I think we could go much lower than that. As you guys know, I am looking for a major dump in the markets where we'll all have huge opportunity. That's not bad news. When this happens, if this happens, remember, none of this is financial advice. There is going to be some massive buying opportunities. We're also going to take a look at Tesla, and I'll show you my buy range in there that I've been talking about for about a year now. Very low lows if it happens, so make sure you stick around. All right, so let's take a look at the DXY. So the DXY, as you guys know, I think we're going to get way up into these ranges. We're going to get a massive push up, in my opinion, for the DXY while these markets dump. Now, here are my Fibonacci retracement levels, right? The next one is around 102.7. We could get our bounce there and the markets come down. If we break down past this, like maybe when the rate hike decision comes in, we may spike all the way down to this 102 or whatever. But then I do believe we are massively going up. If you look at the big chart, really, guys, this is just a pullback, right? In a huge uptrend. I think the DXY is going to moon. My opinion. Here's Tesla. Tesla, we had our bounce levels, our big, this was drawn out way back in here, right? We did get our major bounce at 106. We have not hit my target of 49 to 50 bucks, actually 40 to 50 bucks yet. If we look at where we're at now, we're coming to the 0.236, which is 265. If that breaks, then we could possibly come all the way up and retest this trend line. Nevertheless, we are way down still, right? So looking at this right here, this just looks like a big ABC correction. And if that's the case, let's put the fibs on there from the bottom here to the top, back to the bottom here. So this would be A down here. We got our, I'm sorry, A up here, B here, and C up here. And that would be the one-to-one extension around that 265, 266 range, where I do expect a major dump from that point till the end of next year. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but that's still what I'm seeing. I've been talking about that since we broke over here back in October of 22. I still think this is where we're headed. We'll take a look at oil too. All these are pretty much showing the same signs, right? Before we go into Bitcoin, if you guys are interested in trading, definitely check out Prime XBT. I have a link down below. You can use my promo code SAVVY50 to get you up to a $7,000 bonus. SAVVY25 will get you 25% off your fees. You can also join the free Discord down below. But this is Prime XBT here. They do support the channel. If you want to trade crypto, Forex, S&P, Dow Jones, gold, silver, oil, aluminum, tons of stuff on this exchange without having to switch around to different exchanges. You can deposit Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever you want on here, and then go from there without having to actually buy off of Prime XBT, right? Just be careful if you are trading. Never put in more than you're willing to use, and always use stop losses. There is a free contest section right up here. Click on these 4 squares, and it's totally free. Helps you learn the exchange without putting in any risk. You can join these contests, and if you win, you can actually get tradable funds and trade with them and win or keep your winnings. That's with zero risk, right? Let's take a look at the daily. So this is Bitcoin on the daily. Right here is our 200 EMA. If that can hold and we break up past this trend line, then we can look for our other targets. Remember this target from the big falling wedge. Once it broke here, 31.5 is where that was saying. We got to about 31,000, a little over 31,000, 31,100. Could that have been it? That is very good possibility. We'll take a look at it in the 4-hour and look at my count. But if you look at what's going on here, it does look like we could see somewhere in that 20,000 range, somewhere in here. If it takes a little longer, a little bit higher, but I do think we at least retest this trend line. If we look here, this does look like just a head and shoulders up here. The measured move of that head and shoulders at the break of this line would get us way down to approximately 20,000, right? So that's a little head and shoulders there. And if we look at this big picture here, something like this, get down, test this, get another rally up before coming down to our lower lows by the end of the year, possibly as low as 9,600. Now, actually, possibly as low as 3,500 in my opinion. But here's that wave count. The 1, we had the 2 here. We made this chart way back here calling for approximately 23.5 for a bounce. Could go as low as 22.8. But I do expect a bounce. Come back up into these ranges here between 25 and 26 for wave 4. That's after hitting these, and then continuation to the downside. Now, we talked about this on the daily, right? Let's go back over here. Let's move this stuff around a little bit. Looking at this on the daily, if this is a falling wedge right here, right? What would the bullish target be if that was the case? If that was the case, our rising wedge target at the break of this trend line would be somewhere around 31.5 to 32, depending on how long it would take to break this top. Bearish case scenario, obviously, you guys know, this is what I'm looking for unless we break this top at approximately 27.3 range. If we do break that, maybe we get that one more push up. Today could be a big part of that, depending on what the Fed does. I think there's still a good possibility that the Fed does raise rates again. That would shock the markets, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, this is what I'm looking for as of right now. And if you look at this trend line we've had drawn in here on the 4 hour, we are still just playing on this trend line for what, a couple weeks now. So just be careful here, guys. I think the markets are going to take people by surprise, maybe both ways real quick before continuation to what I believe will be the downside, right? So oil, this is a very old chart also. We got our bounce here at this bottom trend line, just like we were expecting. We put this target at 62.70 in way back here, back in August of 22. We nailed it. And I told you guys in many, many videos, if you guys been following along, that we would probably bounce along this line for a while. Once this breaks, right, and then we break that 62.70 again, I think we could see as low as 27 bucks. Possibly much lower depending on how the markets are reacting. Now, let's talk about Binance. And then we're going to look at some bubble pop patterns real quick and show you where I think we're at in Bitcoin. So, as you can see over here, FTT, this was the FTX collapse, right? Same type patterns playing out in BNB. Now, or I'm sorry, yeah, BNB. And what happens is a lot of these guys don't understand. They think it just collapses because of whatever reason they want to believe. But usually these guys are just leveraging and playing in the markets, very risky, using these assets that they created out of thin air. Let's see where we're at here. I told you we could bounce up to retest this trend line. Unless we start opening and closing dailies above this trend line, which currently lies at about 257.3. As long as we don't get above that and start opening and closing, I do believe this is what we're looking for BNB. I still believe that. I told you about 6 months ago that this process would take 3 to 6 months. And you guys watch my last video if you haven't seen it. And I brought up that old video showing. But anyways, I do think this could be what we are going to see in BNB. Remember, not financial advice, guys, but I do want to put the warnings out there and make people cautious and careful, because a lot of these guys that just want views will only tell you can buy anything and make money forever because it only goes up. So just be careful out there, guys. Amazon compared to Bitcoin chart. This is a very old chart. This is the .com bubble, right? Had to wash out all the scams, which we are doing now. And I think Binance could possibly be one of the scams that need to get washed out, along with thousands of crap coins, right? But every time a bubble starts, like back here, it always returns to where it began. We've been talking about this for a long time. We got our fake bottom right here when the weekly trend line broke. This was, it doesn't look that big, but let's see, it was 120% rally. What did we get on Bitcoin here? This was 100% rally, right? And this is pretty much telling us that we topped out here, in my opinion, and we have much further to go. You can see in Nintendo, same bubble pop pattern. These are all weekly charts, guys. But right here, we had our false bottom down here. We had I think it was like an 80% rally here on Nintendo before continuing down, but it always returns to where it began. That's what happens when bubbles pop. They wash out all the garbage, right? Here's where Bitcoin's began, and here's where Bitcoin will end, I believe. And then that doesn't mean Bitcoin's dead, guys. That means there's a long time, maybe a long, slow grind up. But that would be the place to get back in and just ride this up for a very long time if that was to happen, right? Here's Sony, same thing, false bottom, another false bottom, another false bottom. This one had plenty of them. If it happens something like this, we have a long bear market to go. Not saying that's going to happen, but anything's possible, right? Just be careful out there, guys. Don't forget to check out my links below. My Twitter's down there, Discord, all that stuff. I don't charge for anything, so definitely check it out if you haven't. Check out these videos up top. There's a Prime XBT tutorial, and I will see you guys in the next video. My house is so close to done. We should be moving in by the end of the month, and then I will be more apt to put up videos every single day like I used to. I'll have a lot more time. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'm out.